Salam, the Kike Lemba Beta Ezira'El in all four corners of the earth where you could be found, in all places that we can find. I send my greetings, salam greetings from our royal courts here in Santiago de Chile in South America. This is King Binyam Binyamin Selamun of Beta Ezira'El speaking. I'm speaking from my courts here in the courtyard in South America, in Chile, in the capital Santiago. The courts of Lemba Beta EziraEl still remain in Santiago until further notice, but I should like to acknowledge that we are still in Santiago de Chile in South America in the diaspora, and we are here to represent the feelings of all children of Israel in any part of the world because of our international networking capability. And so I am speaking from here again to pass a message to all the Kike Beta Ezira'El on this 21st day of our moon Gambat, the year 1794 in the calendar of Beta Ezira'El. Now, today I felt that there was need to address certain issues that are of very interesting and very important concern or of some sort of urgency, because there has been a real explosive topic or several topics on the topic about Africa, the continent, that we have spoken about before, and I should like to bring that up again. But there has been such explosive news on international media, in all platforms, even on the internet, about Africa, the continent, and the peoples, also called Africans, after the name of the continent called Africa. Now, I have got my nose on the side to help me not to forget the most important points that I would like to put to every one of you. But first of all, I would like to make very formal and diplomatic, according to royal protocol, to distinguish royal dignitaries within this kingdom and to acknowledge the contribution and the presence of very important people and elders and all children of Israel being very important themselves. I should like to distinguish them as a great people and most loved of my people. Beta Israel, I should like to distinguish the children of Israel, as we say in Gers, the Kike Beta Ezira'El, which means the children of the house of Israel. Yes, as we know that some of them are called, they go by the name Lemba, while others have been known by another name that is not exactly what they should have been known by. They are called Ethiopian Jews. Yeah, which again is not exactly explaining who they really are. The real identity is Beta Ezira'El, which means, when interpreted, translated to English, it means the house of Israel. Yes. And so I should like to speak here. I am the king of Beta Ezira'El, according to our tradition of birth, that one who is on the throne of a kingdom has to be born within it. Yeah, so it's not an election, as you know, in the democratic colonial system. It is about the birth of a man, the birth of a woman, the birth of a boy, the birth of a girl from a certain family. If they have royal blood, they will take up responsibility by natural talent of being leaders of that particular community. And that becomes what we call a kingdom, and that is a nation. And that, as I said before, this is a very distinct identity. It is not about a continent or republic of this, a republic of that. It is about the real identity by birth of an individual. Yeah, today I am prompted to do what I'm doing or to release this video because there was really a serious outcry out there. Yeah, but first of all, I would like to distinguish all princes in the kingdom, in the royal family, in the royal palace, and to also extinguish the princesses available here and the queens. As you know that our queen, the consort, my consort, passed on so many years ago, and I had remained a widower for quite a long time. But there are queens and princesses and princes within this kingdom that still survive to this day, and they deserve to be respected and be honored by this royal court. So I will distinguish them in dignity and respect by royal protocol, that we do have royal family members in this kingdom that are really, really important, and they are here to stand and to build the kingdom of Beta Israel. So I should like to distinguish them and all the Kike in all parts of the world. We are in the diaspora now, but back in the continent of Africa as well, we do have children of Israel where they actually belong. In fact, this is exactly where they come from the so-called Africa, part of that so-called Africa. I'm going to explain later in this video why the word Africa is not appropriate to describe any identity of any of the people that I'm trying to talk about right now. Yeah, so I will try to present this topic. The topic for today is almost like a continuation of what I had started some time ago. I had a video that was released to everyone, but it unfortunately had been too long because it lasted for 1.5 hours. That was too long for some people, but also it not only depending on the length of the video, but it depends on the interest on the subject. Yes, so if the people are less interested in the subject, they will probably be a little bit impatient with the video. But I'll try to shorten this video, but there is a lot to say about this video, on the subject that I'm about to present right now. So I spoke in the last videos that you, my people, for example, Beta Israel, yes, you are not, or anyone that is living in the continent of Africa today, or whoever is identified as an African person today, as they are also identified as being black people from Africa, that you are none of the things that I've just mentioned. Your identity is not called black, because black is just the color of a thing. It is not the identity of a human being. So therefore, I have to put that straight away to make sure that this false identity is not attached to you. It's got nothing to do with you. You may be proud of your skin color, but that does not spell the identity. The identity is spelled in another form and is pronounced in another word or in another expression, which I'm going to unfold as this video goes on and on and on. That it is not black that is your identity here. There is no such nation or society or any race or ethnicity by the name black. Yeah, if ever that name black is used to spell an identity or to pronounce the identity of any race, it's a complete violation of the rights and the dignity and the integrity of that particular ethnicity. The word black does not refer to ethnicity of an individual. So we are not going to call you black because that's not what you are. Yeah, this video is here to blow to pieces all this discrepancies, all this misconception about who you are and who you're not. So let's get to the bottom. Yes, you are not Africa. I said this in the other video, that you are kingdoms, you are nations, you have an ancestral lineage that does not say Africa. It doesn't go back to any individual by that name called Africa. And I made it very clear in the last videos that Africa is actually an Italian name. I am here in a Latin American country, and I understand the Latin influence and the Latin words and Latin roots, and I speak Spanish language fluently. And this Spanish language is also developed from Latin roots and also has very good and compatible terms and rules that are found in the Italian language spoken in Italy. So therefore, I know what I'm talking about. Yes. Yeah, so we have Africa as a root word in Italian language, also coming in Spanish to describe the people from Italy as they are a Roman Empire, and has nothing to do with the people who are calling themselves by the same name since they don't come from there. Yeah, so this must be very important, because if the name is here to spell out your identity, it must come from the people who speak that language that identifies you as an African. If you are African, you should come from Italy, because the root word Africa is actually entrenched in the Italian language and the Latin roots, which is also available here in Spanish, and we also have that in French. We also have that in Portuguese. So if someone speaks Portuguese now, I can pick up certain words because of the root stock of certain words. And then we can do what you call a conjugation. Yes, and then have some kind of lexicon, yeah, of that particular language, and sentences and phrases and expressions. Yeah, that will center around that root and develop into sentences. Yeah, so I am trying to convey a message here that this Africa and the republics, as you know, that there is Republic of this, Republic of South Africa, Republic of Ghana, Republic of this, not only in Africa, but also in America. We have Republic. Now I'm living in the Republic of Chile. Yes. And there is Republic of Brazil, there is Republic of Argentina, there is Republic of Peru. Yes, all these are republics, and there is a continent called America, and there is a continent called Africa. But today I am going to be focused more on Africa, since our people are from there, I am from there, and we are all having problems with identifying with someone that is not our identity, called Africa. We are calling ourselves Africa. In fact, I never knew about me being called Africa or being called African until I heard from the Americans that I am Africa. I didn't know. I did not hear that from my mother. I did not hear that from my father. I did not hear that from my uncle. I did not hear that from my grandparents. I did not hear that from my grandfather, that my name or my identity is Africa. I didn't hear this. I hear this from foreigners or strangers who meet me on the road and tell me that I'm African. Then I get puzzled that who is this person I have never heard about. From home, from our home, from the house, it was not said that the identity in this house is called Africa, or there is an ancestor in this house who was called by that name. That's why they pass it on down to me or to any generation that comes after that person. So it is just a misnomer and just a colonial institution. So my message today is Africa and the republics that come out of Africa. I told you in the social media that Africa was divided into republics so that it could be easily exploitable, because a mass land grouped together as big as what you call the continent of Africa was difficult to manage by the people that colonized it. Yes, you know very well the story of the Berlin Conference, how the Europeans came around and got together in a conference that they would want to take the mass lands that they later named Africa and take that for themselves and benefit from that at the disadvantage of the people that were living in their particular lands or continents. Sorry. So we are talking about a colonial institution called Africa. So the colonial institution became an umbrella body for colonialism in order to have an effect, in order to take a step of colonizing and manipulating and exploiting the lands of the people that became known today as Africans in what is now called Africa as a continent. Something that never happened to them, something that has never been a part of their custom and culture and tradition, that there is something called continent and they're living in a continent. Something like that has never existed within the peoples that are called Africa today, because it's not part of their culture to have a continent. So it's not part of their social structure to have something called continent that they can call home. Their home is a continent. There's no such thing. They belong to lands that are kingdoms, and those kingdoms have a heritage, and they have a king who is born in that particular kingdom, who carries the identity and becomes a custodian of the customs and traditions of that particular people. And they have a specific and a very distinct tongue that they are speaking. They are not speaking a language called African language because it doesn't exist. Africa cannot have a language if it's not a birth of somebody. It's only a colonial institution. If I form an organization today, if I form a movement today and call it Africa, I cannot claim that this movement now has become my ancestor, has become my father. So my father has no business here. It's Africa who has business here. It is not my mother now who is now my mother and my parent here. It is Africa who has taken this place. So I'm going to forget about my mom and forget about my people, Beta Israel, and cling to this woman, the Italian woman called Africa. This is what is happening right now. So this Italian woman called Africa wanted to take all the lands of the kingdoms that are found in this mass land that is now called Africa today, and said, I'm going to take all this and exploit all resources in this land for myself, to enrich myself. And she did this. And she attempted to do this because this was a group of European people, European countries, European persons doing this. And then it didn't work for them because they were full of greed. One wanting to take a big chunk of this earth called Africa, big, so big and difficult to manage. So one chunk would go to that one and go to that one. And that one say, no, that is my chunk also. So they started fighting among themselves for this chunk of land of the earth called Africa now, by these people, not by us, the people who come from there. Yeah, someone gave it a name and even wanted to take it as a whole, not into split parts. When they failed to take it as a whole thing and to exploit it as one chunk, they found that it was difficult. It was costing them life, losing life. They would kill each other. They would fight with each other. They would quarrel with each other. And they say, no, this is not working. This is not smart. The smart thing is to split it up. In education, we have assimilated bits. Split it up so that you can manage it. Be smart with this chunk of earth called Africa. Split it up. Your Africa, split it up into things. These things are called republics. Republic of South Africa, Republic of Ghana, Republic of Nigeria, Republic of that nonsense. Yes. And now, since the people were too difficult to control still, that how do we control somebody? How do we break down these people and control them as well? So it is not only the smartness of splitting the big chunk into republics to make it smaller and manageable, into assimilated base. But it's also how can we control? What is the means of control? So the means of control is religion. It's easy to control you if you are converted to a religion, especially Christian religion. So they came with Christianity and they said, God has spoken to me and has sent me to you, and said that he is very upset about you. He doesn't like the way you are. You are now paying tribute to your ancestor. Now you are praying to your God somewhere in the hills. You have special shrines of your God in some place, and you consult him there for your healing, for your power, for your answers to your problems. And now I have come to tell you that whatever you are doing is all satanic and evil. So I want to control you in terms of your beliefs, in terms of your paradigm, in terms of what you consider to be the supernatural power above your head, so that you will have no power or no reason to challenge that supernatural force above you that created everything. Then the people called Africans were told that whatever they had as a religious or a spiritual symbol was wrong, and it was belonging to the enemy of their God, which they brought to the African person. This person, we are going to call him African, but that is not really the identity. This person is a person from different kingdoms, from different ethnicities, with different tongues, very distinct. It's not a general classification that this is African. It's not such. Human beings are not that simple. I was teaching economics, and I was teaching that the reason why people have basic needs and wants, leading them to complex goods is because they had grown in big numbers and had grown complex also with their mentality. So that's the reason for economics. As the needs and wants of the people grew more complex, they needed a study of economics. Yes. There is no simplicity here. It's complex. So the people cannot just be one chunk called Africa. They are more than that, and they are worth, and they have more integrity and more dignity than just being called and grouped in one place and just put it together in one box and called Africa. It doesn't work like that. That's why it's not working, because it doesn't work like that naturally. People are different, but they can work together, they can agree, they can do things together. I have no objection to that, but I cannot agree that they are all Africa and they are nothing else. Who is this Africa? And then I said in my topic, in my theme, I said, Africa, republics, religion, all colonial nonsense. Colonial nonsense must be blown away, and must shut it down. You must blow this nonsense away if you want to be successful, if you want to be back to yourself. Self-identity, self-realization is a powerful civilization. Yes. One Eastern philosopher said, is how much you realize yourself that makes you a civilized person. It's not because you built a skyscraper. No. The greatest science of all is the science of self-realization. To know that you are not Africa. You are something else. Identity. You are a Swati person from the kingdom of Eswatini. You are a Zulu from the kingdom of the Zulus, and there is a Zulu king who reigns in that particular kingdom. Yeah, you are a Luo person because you come from the Luo. Yes. Nation with a king of the Luo who was born within the Luo. This is not a movement. It's not an organization. It's not a club. It's not a religion called Christianity, a club, a movement, you know. So you are born out of a people to be called by that people's name of identity. So it's not a composition of a new name because of your organization which you formed called Africa or Republic of Ghana. No. Or Republic of Kenya. No. Republic of South Africa. No. Republic of South Africa is the name of a colonial institution. Africa is the umbrella colonization, colony, or colonizing power. Let me say. It forms colonies, of course. It's not a colony. It is the power of colonization. It's a colonizer managing her colonies properly. Republics. Republic of that, Republic of that, Republic of this, Republic of this, Republic of the other one. So I said all this is colonial nonsense. And the religion was used to control you. This is it. It's easy to control you if you believe in a religion, if you convert to a religion. It's easy to control you because they tell you, the Catholic, for example, the Christianity, will tell you if you do not listen to the voice of God in this fashion that we just introducing to you now, God will be unhappy with you and he will destroy you. He will burn you in a fire for not worshiping him, for not coming to him. When they say for not coming to him, they're talking about going to them and believing in them, making them your gods from the Roman Empire, for example. Or it could be Muslim. They say, believe in us, you're a Muslim now. So you're no longer yourself, you're just something else. So if you believe in them, the Muslim the people who form that club, that organization, then it means you are being controlled. This is the idea. The idea is to control you. How? By religion. So that you can say, God is instructing me to do it this way. God has sent his messenger to me, a Christian messenger, to tell me to believe in Jesus. If I don't believe in Jesus, I'm lost. So he wants to save me. Save me from what? Save you from what? Nonsense. Colonial nonsense. And so our people begin to believe in this because they were controlled. So this method of control was working against our people. And so, because of that, there is a whole explosive media reporting about how the African has been robbed of his resources. The Western man, the one that I said was Africa, the Italian woman, along with her friends from Russia, from China, mostly from Europe. Mostly from Europe, were the people that were into colonizing the African person. This person now has been identified as an African after an Italian name of the biggest colonizer of all. He said, I'll give you my name because I am the chief colonizer here. Yes. I'll give this pet if I have a pet. If I have a dog, if I have a cat, if I have anything or an animal of some kind, I will try to give a name in my tongue. I cannot give it a name in the tongue of someone else. So the Italians, the Roman Empire, said the name of the colony will be by the name in my language, because I'm the chief colonizer here among all you French and British and all that. Okay. So if you say you are Africa, you are part of that naming you're given by somebody naming his pet. Yes. He cannot give it a name that is not in his language. Obviously not. So some people have been researching and saying, oh, it was African news and then it was a Roman general. A Roman general is your identity now? African news. So African news is you? He doesn't even look like you? And he's even a racist? Many Italian people are so racist that they don't even want to look at you. They can't even stand looking at your face. They are so racist against the so-called African that they give them the name African. They say that the appearance of an African person is disgusting. So shortly after this video, maybe I will make another video that talks about racism. That will be another segment. But now I am trying to address this Africa, Republic, and religion as colonial institutions. All colonial nonsense that you have to reject. Now, from the news I'm hearing all around the world today, is that the African is such an unfortunate person. One day the African was sitting in Africa and came people from other parts of the world. This is the story now. It's being told again. It's being retold. It's not told the way I was telling you before. It is told that the African was sitting in Africa, which I say that he was never called by that name. The name came from Italy. So why would he be found in Africa by people from outside and he being called African? No way. It doesn't work like that. Now the second story, another fabrication says the African was found in Africa and then the settlers came from somewhere else and the African was full of hospitality and accepted them. And then he said, settle here because I'm very nice to visitors and strangers. Yeah, well, I have no objection to that, but there are so many nations in Africa that have different customs regarding the welcome of visitors, regarding the welcome of strangers. So how the strangers and visitors are welcomed depends on each distinct custom or tradition of each one of the nations that now have been grouped into one thing called Africa or Republic of this, Republic of that. Within one republic, there are many kingdoms. When I say kingdoms, I'm talking about a real identity by birth. I'm talking about language, culture, custom, and tradition. And there is a king who is a custodian of all this. So, how they welcome strangers or visitors depends on the culture of each one of them. So it cannot be African culture says strangers are welcome here. Who is African culture? It doesn't exist. So why would he be saying that? It is Zulu culture that says that strangers are welcome or not welcome in this way. It depends on what the custom of the Zulu says about strangers and welcoming visitors in your home. It is the culture of maybe the Tswana or the Pedi, all right, or the Oromo in Ethiopia, how they welcome their visitors, what custom they have regarding strangers who come to their homes. Okay? It's not Africa. No. Incorrect statements that you're making. Yeah. So now they came and they were accepted in some parts of what is called Africa. And then they turned around and exploited these people. And took all their resources, and not only did they take their resources, but they also control the direction of these resources, even if these people were sort of like being helped out with these resources because they had to build schools within there, they had to build roads within that particular republic, they had to do that after taking the lands. Yes. or farming in their own form, in their own way. Most of the people that were called Africans were not producing in large quantities so much. They were just only producing small sections per family, just using their hand only. There were no big machines to turn the whole soil upside down. So it was like just small portions of production for subsistence purposes. It is not a big revolutionary farming to revolutionize trade, farming trade or agricultural industry thereabout. It was not like that. It was about just small sections of communities and clans and families producing for themselves for subsistence purposes only. So that's why it looked like they were not so massive in their production. And so the settlers said, no, we want to revolutionize that. We want to bring machines and turn this whole thing upside down very quickly and export large quantities to other countries and make money and exchange for gold or whatever, money, paper money or what. So therefore it was like these other people were now like not so aggressive with that. They were not so revolutionary. Yeah. And so they were not enterprising aggressively. So that is where the problem is. Now, then in the end, they were defeated because those ones came with a lot of capital assets to move the assets, to move the raw materials, to exploit. They were very labor exploitative. Yeah, and then they took over completely. So when this other one said, no, wait a minute, what is this now we're doing? We said you're a friend coming to visit us. Now you're turning around and saying that you belong here. And then the colonizer said, the land has not been formalized as yours, but I have formalized it in paper that it belongs to me. Right in this paper. Where is yours? According to this paper, the land that I found was not occupied. Yeah. So it was a no man's land until I formalize it into my own. So all of you, you are trespassing. Oh, what's going on? And then everything was taken away. Since these people are now in control, remember, this is Africa, a colonial institution. Republics, split it up, it's too big, can manage a big chunk. Religion, control method. Yes. He said, you have to believe in Jesus to be saved. Otherwise, you're gone. You'll be lost. Do you want to be lost or you want to be saved? Oh, of course I want to be saved. Okay. Confess and be baptized in his name. Oh, then it became strong, and the conviction became strong, and the fanaticism grew strong. And stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And then the African was an evangelical Christian. So the African took the religion from the outsiders and turned it fanatic. And turned it into fanaticism. So a Catholic person will go to the cathedral and pray very quiet, very silent, very, very softly, without going fanatic about it. The African took the same thing, Catholic book, and shouted it, and moved in circles, and rolled on the floor about it, and convinced other Africans that if you don't believe in this, you are gone, you are lost. Churches began to mushroom in Africa, taking Catholicism to the highest proportions and to the biggest stages and the great elevations of fanaticism. Jesus is so good to me, they said. He saved me. They cried and they rolled on the floor. They started eating grass, falling on their back. When someone touched them in the head like this, they would fall on their back and say, I have been touched by Jesus. And now I speak in an unknown tongue. A tongue I have never learned. I could just speak Korean right now. I could just speak Russian. I've never learned it. I've never been to Russia. I just speak it according to the Holy Spirit of Jesus. Stupid things. Yes. Speaking, making it up. There's no power. There's nothing because it's just fiction and hoax. There's no power of Jesus because he never existed in the first place. He never existed. So why would he be giving him power to speak in an unknown tongue? Because this Jesus is just a military campaign of Titus Flavius. I will speak about that in another segment of how Jesus was created. I know some of you already know from other speakers that the creation of Jesus and all that, and according to my understanding, it was the military campaign of Titus Flavius. Christianity and the Gospels is a military campaign for Palestine. So he got this, he took it to the highest levels, to highest stages, and rolled on the floor for Christianity and Jesus. And the colonizer said, thank you for that, because that's what I wanted. I wanted you to be fully controlled and go crazy about this fiction that I've created. While the Catholic children born of this man who invented Christianity are not going crazy about the invention of their father. No, they're not. Because they know that it's not real. It is just something just maybe to keep them together so they don't go out taking drugs and they don't do bad things out there. They don't go and smoke marijuana. They will be kept in the church and maybe they will behave better. Yes. They will take the Holy Communion. If they have taken the bread and they have taken the wine, they will feel that they are very clean, so they shouldn't go out there and drink alcohol, please. They shouldn't go out there and become prostitutes because this will be against the wine and the bread they have eaten in the cathedral. So the children of the man and the woman who invented Christianity, which is a method of control, is not taking it. They are not taking it very seriously. No. They're not even interested. They're not Catholic. They're not Christians. They're not interested because they know it's not a big deal. Yeah. But the African, the one who was created out of this, is taking it to the highest levels. Rolls on the floor and sings for Jesus and goes crazy for Jesus and uses Jesus to even cast out his ancestors in Jesus' name. That the ancestors are devils. The method of control. It's easy to control you if you are Christian. Yeah. That's what it is. And so, what happened when everything went wrong? The resources of the African were stolen. Who is this African who is so unfortunate that he can say no to the European who is taking his resources? Who is this African who is so powerless that he can't stop the European from taking his resources? He has been controlled. God and Jesus is not happy with him if he can fight his brother in Christ from Europe. The one who is colonizing him is no longer the colonizer, according to religion. That person who colonized him is brother or sister in Christ. Even if he's a big mother, a big woman, it's sister, so and so. Sister. My mother is sister. What a stupid thing. Yeah, so now, after that, all this nonsense that I call colonial nonsense has gripped the African from that time. Now, up to now, the African has lost his resources according to the reports that we're getting, which are true on the media. That because sometimes they say, oh no, people are speaking bad about us on BBC, They are not reporting properly. They're so stereotyped. Well, why would they have reason to report badly? They are reporting correctly. They say the African is poor. Of course, what can you own, what can you have if you're controlled in the methods that I've just described? Africa, Republic, religion. How can you not be controlled if these things are applied to you? Yes. So now there have been problems after problem. So since the republics have been formed and they do have the owner, who is Africa, who is trying to coordinate them and trying to arrange them and organize them from time to time for his own advantage, not for the advantage of the Africans themselves. The Africans themselves, remember, they don't belong there. The paper does not say that the land belongs to them. It doesn't. They didn't make this paper because it was not within their culture that in order for them to show that they belong there, they should produce a paper. They knew that no, they were born here, their fathers came here. Why are they looking for paper to prove that? Yes. Which is right. Why are they using paper to prove that when they were born there and they came from there? Yeah. So now, because of that, things have deteriorated now completely. Now in the media, now as I'm speaking to you, that's why I had to make this video. There is a whole lot of dissatisfaction and grievances and complaints that the Africa had his things taken away from him. Even his gods were taken. The artifacts were taken away. So they must be brought back. So now it becomes like this unfortunate person called Africa must be given his resources back because look, he looks miserable in his face. Please don't take away from him because look, when you take away from him, he starts to cry and then it makes me feel so sad. So please give it back. Please give it back. So they are not giving back because the African forces them to give back. No. They're giving back because they feel sorry for the poor one who cannot get back things on their own power. So he will even go into the street and say, please give me my freedom. Protesting in the street of African land to the foreigner who took the land and say, I am protesting so that you can give it to me. So what kind of an invader is this, or a thief is this, who gives back things that is stole from you because you are crying? You are crying too sadly, too badly, too bitterly, and he's going to give back because he feels moved by your tears. Is this a real thief doing that? Why should the thief be interested, be worried about your weeping and your crying? It's not a thief. It's not a real thief. A real thief doesn't care about that. That you've been bleeding because when he broke into the house, he hit you with something and you are bleeding now. So now that you are bleeding profusely, he's now beginning to say, oh, look at him, sad soul, he's bleeding too much, let me give it back. Nonsense. He's not going to do that. The only time he's going to give it back is when you twist his arm until he feels pain and then let go what he got in here. You're holding that, you twist an arm so bad so that he can feel pain. When he feels excessive pain, then he will let go because of the degree of pain that you are inserting in him. Yes. That's how to deal with a thief. Yeah. You're not asking him, let's come to the table. Let's go to the United Nations. No, nonsense. Force him to give it back. Yeah. Now, there has been reports of some youth from African republics, the ones that were controlled, taken by Africa, blah, 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 as I said before. They're going to Europe. The people who stole the resources, the people who came to settle, who convinced the African with religion. They are crossing the Mediterranean, most dangerous crossing ever on earth, with boats that capsize, overfill, with illegal immigrants, illegal migrants going to Europe for a better life. Why? This question was put one of the leaders. I was listening very well on television. One of the leaders in South Africa, whose name I will not mention, was asked the question, why are the African youth going all the way to Europe and taking a dangerous route by the Mediterranean, end up losing their life in a very tragic way? He said they are chasing the resources that were stolen by the Europeans that they took to Europe. A leader speaking such crap. The children of Africa are leaving Africa and they are prepared to lose their lives in order to go to Europe and take back what Europe has stolen from them. Does that make sense? Is that a responsible statement that can come out of a responsible leader of community? So the African children have to give up their life to find better life in Europe, and that is the way of taking resources. So this is a war against Europe by an African youth. So if it is a war between Europe and African youth, why should Europe feel sorry for the people they are fighting with? Because if they are at war with African youth has to win or lose. These are the engagements of war. So why should the Europeans feel sorry for someone who is fighting with them? So they cannot say, I will allow you to shoot me here on the chest with a gun because I am the one who stole your resources. So even if you kill me, it doesn't matter. I will not kick back because I am wrong. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that in a war. A war means you fight to lose or you fight to win. Yeah, if the youth of Africa are going to cross the Mediterranean because they are in a war, which is okay if they are fighting for something that belongs to them, it's okay, but why would they be asking the Europeans to be nice to them if they are fighting against them? So now the children had been interviewed by investigative journalists. Why are you going to Europe and taking such high risk that you can even lose your life for it? Why is it so important to be in Europe that you are even prepared to lose your own life? They said, you know what? The place that we have come from in Africa, or this republic, republic again is a problem, the formation of the colonizer. So the child says, the youth said to the journalist who was interviewing them, I was watching it on television. They said, is because where we have come from in Africa is so bad. Unfortunately, I didn't get the names of the specific countries that they had come from, but one of those countries is Eritrea, and another one I think is Sudan, and there are many others, and Libya also. They said the situation is so bad that they don't mind even losing their life trying to get out of it. Listen to this. It is so bad that they can't stand it. They would rather die in the Mediterranean than to stay there back in Africa, which is not good for them. Listen to this. So the interpretation that I have as King Binyam is that they have been failed by their own leadership in this republics called Africa. Why are they being failed? It's very simple and self-explanatory. The republic is headed by a president. This president is not a king of the Zulu, is not a king of the Oromo, Is not a king of the Swati. Is not a king of the Xhosa. Is not a king of the Gurage. Is not a king of the Luo. Is an agent of the colonizer Africa, who have put an agent there to be able to exploit the resources there through an agent and a port of departure and entry. So the colonizer said to the African man, become president and be my agent and do the things I want you to do for me. But go to the people and tell them that they should vote for you so that they can feel good that they have voted for one of their own. We are not going to put a British man there to be president because it will be too suspicious. Yes, it will be too suspicious to do that because they will say, oh, the British man is coming here to speak against us because he doesn't look like us. Okay, all right. The best way to do it is to pick one of the African who looks like the other people, the Africans around him, and make him the leader. He shouldn't be the leader because the culture of the people in the area is that of monarchies, not the president, not the democracy, not capitalism, not voting and elections. No, this is something new and strange to their culture, the people there. So they will think that the president is a king. But then they will say, okay, this president comes from the Zulus. So is this about the Zulus ruling us? You know, those who are not Zulus, those who are not Pedi, who are not Tswana, who are not Oromo. Is this man, the president of Ethiopia, now ruling the Oromo when he is not Oromo? So then they get upset about that. They'll say to Gaddafi, Gaddafi, we are here in the other part of Libya and we come from a kingdom that does not have you as one of the successors of that king who died some time ago. So we don't know what this is now, Gaddafi. Get out, because you are not our king. That's what caused the problem in Libya. It's not only NATO. No, it is about Gaddafi and the others adopting a foreign colonial system to run the kingdoms that are found in Libya. So the people from other parts of Libya said, Muammar Gaddafi is not born from our royal family. So he is not our king. He can be king only where he is born in the royal family of the people of his nation or tribe. Only, not the rest, because the Republic of Libya is not the identity of the people there. The people's identity there in the Republic of Libya is the many, many, many kingdoms that exist there. And they are not recognized because it's a new system of colonialism of republic, which does not respect the structures. That's why the people are rising against someone who becomes a president, even if they voted for them. Yeah, it means absolutely nothing because they are not supposed to vote for anybody. It's a strange, unusual thing that came to them. So it's not because they voted for the wrong person, next time they'll vote for the better person. This is not the problem. The problem is that that person who is president is not their king. He is not born from their royal family as they know their royal family's history. Yeah, this is what the issue is. Yeah. Oh my God. So they are drowning in the Mediterranean to run away from the frustration they are getting from the leadership of the Republic, which is not right. They are not going to Europe to go and fight with Europeans to bring back their resources that were stolen. Incorrect. They're going to Europe for a better life, better than where they came from, because it's bad. This is the truth. Yeah. You ask them, where do you want to go? I want to go to Canada. Why Canada? It's more developed than my country. My country is not doing well because it's not as great as Canada, for example. In the United Kingdom, I have got more infrastructure. There is more infrastructure. There is more development, and there's more civilization. And back home, there is no such. In other words, he's trying to say it's not only about the civilization or the development of the place, he's talking about the kind of leadership back home that is failing him, that has frustrated him. Yes. In Eritrea, they say they work in the national service forever and they never work for themselves. They don't have independent lives. They cannot build wealth for themselves. They're always in the national service, for the national government service all the time. They have no personal life. Some of them say it so. They may be right, they may be wrong, but somewhere down the line, they're being frustrated in Eritrea, for example. Yes. So my message is, give up the Africa, the republics, and the religion. Throw away this colonial nonsense and go back to yourself and realize yourself and start doing right. So what is the solution? The solution is for the kingdoms to be recognized again. I think this will need another video because it's too long. I will give the solution probably in another video, but I'll just give a highlight. The kingdoms must be revived and come back together. Those in the diaspora can take a DNA and then match this DNA with the kingdoms that are now called tribes. They have been underrated and degraded to the position of tribes when they are actually nations with their own tribes underneath them. You see. So what I would recommend is that the people in the diaspora who say that they are African descent, which is true, even though the word Africa is not, we just use it in the context just to explain this video. The African descendants in the diaspora, in the United States more especially, can go on and do their DNA. And that DNA, they take the DNA, and if the DNA says Lemba, they come to Lemba Beta EziraEl Kingdom. That is headed by me, King Binyam Selamun. They can find us on the internet. They can find us on social media. They can send their message to us and tell us that the DNA says that they are Lemba, so they're coming back to the Lemba. They are not coming to Africa. No. No. The Lemba Kingdom is now concentrated mostly in South Africa, but there are many Lemba people all around the world, including the diaspora. And so, in the diaspora, so when they realize that their DNA says that they are Lemba, if they didn't know, but those who already know they are Lemba, they can just go straight to us and come and say, we have come home, we're coming to you, the kingdom of Lemba. So let's get together as a kingdom of Lemba people only, not Africa. Yes. Okay, not Republic of South African citizens. Yeah, we are building in South Africa because the concentration of the Lembas is in South Africa. The Beta Ezira'El people are in South Africa. Even the Ethiopian Beta Ezira'El, many of them can be found in South Africa. So South Africa is the pivot and the central pilot for the arrival of the Lembas there. So if you contact us, we are making arrangements to put you there. Yes. So if the DNA says Zulu or Igbo or something else, the king of that particular people of that DNA should be able to receive you. Not Nigeria. Not the Republic of Ghana. The king of the Igbo, the king of the Ashanti will be welcoming you in his kingdom. The DNA says you are Ashanti, right? It doesn't say West Africa. No. There is no DNA called West Africa. It doesn't exist. Yeah. It will be a manufactured DNA. Yeah. So if the DNA says Beta EziraEl, if the DNA says Ethiopian Jew or Ethiopian whatever, Ethiopian Hebrew or something like that, please, you must know that you're coming to my kingdom. Those of you that are not Beta Israel, you will be directed to the right king. So what I will do from here, I'm in the diaspora at this moment. I'm returning, I'm waiting for a sign from the Most High to return, but we are organizing people digitally now so that we can get them together in a database so that we can move them to South Africa, where there is a concentration of Lemba people. The settlements in South Africa are being arranged as we speak by my kingdom administration. In the royal house. So that we can take care of our own. But if I get to South Africa, which I will do very soon for the settlement, but in the meantime, we are gathering people digitally so that they can get into our database, so that we can say to those people in our database, please, we are moving to this part of South Africa to settle now. We are ready now. Let's go there. I am also moving away from South America to this place, but we've got people digitally by technology that are in our database, so we shouldn't have any problem. So right after this video, please try to follow our website and our link to get yourself registered with us, more especially using the DNA if you don't know which part of Africa you belong to. Yes, because it's just a continent, so how will you say you are a descendant of Africa? What part of Africa is that? It doesn't mean anything. So here we have an example of people from there. It's called the Lemba. Someone say, are you talking about Ethiopia? No. Lembas are the same people that are called Ethiopian Jews today. Don't be mistaken about it. If they are Tutsi, they are Lemba. If they are Igbo, they are Lemba. If they are Baluba in Congo, they are Lemba. So if you fall within these, according to DNA, you must know that you come to us. But I don't have a problem with the kings of other kingdoms. I want us to live in peace. So I'm going to say to those of you who are not testing Lemba in the DNA, please go to my neighboring kingdom called Zulu or whatever the DNA says it is. And then I will speak to that king. As soon as I move from here, I promise you, I'll go to the kings in the areas around me and ask them for a regional cooperation and a forum where we can coordinate things together as neighbors to make sure that we live in peace together, so that we can be able to exchange, we can be able to trade, we can be able to work together and try to become successful economically and politically. So that we don't go to war against each other, we become friends and neighbors. So this message is too long, unfortunately, but it was so important to mention the things I've just mentioned right now. But I'm still going to be expounding on what the solutions are, since the problems were so big and the controversy was so high. I'm one of the most controversial kings on the planet. Yes. But I am giving challenges to you so that you can look at them critically and try to deduce some meaning out of it. And the solution will probably be given also in another video as an expounding of this video, so that we don't make this video too long. I'm afraid it has to be too long because the things I really wanted to say were too many. Thank you, my people, for listening to me. This is King Binyam Selamun of Lemba Beta EziraEl, speaking from his royal court in Santiago de Chile. Santiago, Chile is only a staging post. We shall be moving to South Africa to settle the Lemba Beta EziraEl people accordingly. But in the meantime, we are simply in the digital platform to gather their information in a database so that we'll be able to know who we are moving with to South Africa with. So I will appeal mostly to those in the United States to take your DNA, and if the DNA says Lemba, Ethiopian Jew, Igbo, Baluba, and Tutsi, please let me know so that we can register you as a part of the Lemba Beta EziraEl Kingdom, and also to consider you in terms of settlement in South Africa. Salam, salam.